Welcome to the PP1 podcast. We don't even have a cold open, and I have a good dad joke, so you got to wait for it. But welcome to the PP1 podcast. I'm Ryan. Hi. Got a new haircut, looking fresh. I'm with Mr. Aloha to my screen right. Ted, he's at the office. How you doing, Ted?
Doing good, buddy.
We're missing
blazing hot out there right now. It's like
it is
6 degrees or something like that.
It's
so I'm
crazy.
happy to be in an air-conditioned office.
It's crazy, but I love it. I miss this. Since I've been home, since I've been back to Kelowna, almost 9 years, June has never been this great. It used to be this great, but it hasn't been for like 9 years. So I am enjoying this. The pool's open at my mom and dad's place every day this week. Yes, I'm bragging. We've gone swimming.
I'm pretty jealous of that.
And that voice, if you're listening, that is Gita. Gita Reddy from Pucks on Net fame. We finally completed our Pucks on Net badge. It should be in the mail 4 to 6 weeks from now. I will be wearing it proudly on my jean jacket. Gita, thank you so much for coming to our show. And you have some big news. This is a big deal for coming on our show. Why?
Oh, this is the first time I've ever guest appeared on anyone's podcast in 8 years.
Unbelievable. So it's interesting.
I'm sorry. I may have your cold open.
You do?
Tell me what PP1 means.
I was gonna jump in there with the PON thing, but she just beat me to it. She's too quick.
There's two boys. No,
I was gonna do the self demeaning thing, but she got me. She got me good.
So it's the Canucks power play one.
Okay,
that's it.
All right.
It was everybody was always talking about it, and I thought we need a name. That's perfect. And now that's all they talk about on every other podcast. So it's like we get free advertising. And, we spout our name in there every now and then. Like, hey, that's us.
Yeah.
Hey, that's us.
Yeah.
It's very clever that way.
That's the way we feel when we get a shout out on broadcast. Oh, yeah, they need to get more pucks on net.
And you're like, I agree. They do.
Yeah.
That needs to happen. So thank you so much for coming on. You get to be one of us. One of us. For a little while. We got you for a few minutes. Brady is having some internet problems today.
He's had some technical difficulties all day that he went to Pucks on Net to get his information on the lottery draft.
Like, how crazy is that? And you're saying, like, it sounded like it was just a real banger over there. Like, all three people, Rash, Ryan, and Brady tuned in to find out anything you could have found. But, you got to use your data stream, and that's where he went. So really, I mean, a kudos to Pucks on Net for being the source for the draft lottery that nobody really cared about.
I mean, they're pretty reliable.
That's true. First and foremost, we are presented on the Dean Blundell Network. We are partnered with that little guy in the corner. Ted, could you be our Vanna once again? We're partnered with Summer Skates. Yeah, you're doing such a great job. And you look legit doing it. So thank you so much. We do appreciate you being here. As I said, we're on the Blundell Network. We may have hijacked the Playoff Pricks post-game show. So I'm really sorry to all the people that might want to tune in to see Habs, post-game coverage on the network.
We can probably tell them what they're talking about right now, and it's that hit.
I didn't see it. I was outside eating a sub.
It looks like it's still going. I'm looking at it right now, and those guys are still live.
Okay, so somehow technology has afforded us a handful of viewers, so that's great.
We did it. We have the internets.
So I saw like Scheifele hit, was it Chariot, I think? I had to ask my dad, and he's
Evans.
like, the guy, it was Evans? Okay. That's not good. It sounded like there was a ton of people on the ice, so.
After rewatching it, I'm like, oh, it was an elbow to the head. Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. Was it as bad as the hit in the Colorado game?
I would have just said that, oh, yeah, probably just to make everybody feel better. It was a 2-game suspension. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, maybe he shouldn't play for the rest of this series.
That's not good. I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to be double, but I'm not good at this. So that's
go to Pucks on Net.
I'm sure you
just did a live stream.
Right? You have the line on it.
Was it as bad as the Kadri hit, though?
I never actually watched the Kadri hit.
Oh, okay. I think it's on you guys' live stream. You should be able to catch it.
Yeah.
That's realistically, that's where we all need to be going now is the Pucks on Net. I think Ryan just needs to have a 24-hour live stream, just an actual network. Pucks on Network.
I'm almost waiting for him to burst into this podcast somehow.
We didn't invite him. It's fine. There's only room for one Ryan here, and my ego's big enough, so we don't.
Yeah.
And we would just talk about Jack Black instead of Jack White, so it'd be like, this is a tribute, something like that. You guys on Pucks on Net, I've been following you guys for a while, probably since I moved back to Kelowna here.
Okay.
Back in like 2013, 2014.
Yeah, which is our first season.
Yeah, so I probably tuned in like season 3, I think.
Okay.
You guys have had some interesting collaborations, some sponsors. You know, The Athletic. You've had Manscaped, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Right.
And then Brazzers. That was a obvious one. Explain the Brazzers thing.
Brazzers didn't actually collaborate with us so much as they sent us free stuff.
Oh, like free,
and I don't know where it came from. I just remember, I think it was back in 2014, 2015, and Brazzers tweeted at Pucks on Net and claimed to be Team Gita. So of course we desperately courted that. Oh, although at that time I didn't even know what Brazzers was, but every time I went to a mail and I was like, so Brazzers reached out to us. They were like, whoa, that's like a huge deal.
I mean, so they were Team Gita. So I mean, in a sense, they're a big deal, but like when they reach it, you're like, I'm flattered, and at the same time, like I'm a little worried. Like, what's going through your head when?
No, I was flattered. I was never worried. I was like, what can we do to get a legit sponsorship?
And that, I mean, when you think legit, you think high-end porn. So
yeah, exactly. Like, let's work together. Let's collaborate.
Exactly. So what did they end? It's been a while. How did that all, like, what happened after that?
Oh, I don't remember how it went, but they were like, we're a little too clean cut for what they're trying to promote. And so in return, they sent us a bunch of t-shirts and tank tops.
That seems like a nice parting gift, eh?
Yeah.
No, like subscriptions or anything.
I'd love to know who at Brazzers was listening to Pucks on Net.
There's this podcast in Vancouver talking about hockey. Like, are you?
It's been like you guys' first year too, right? So they went there right from the jump. You got a big fan out there.
Are you not working again? Like, yeah, I've got this hockey fetish. Like, maybe that could be our next channel. Who knows? So, and interesting. So we were talking before we went live here. There's a few things that I've got to get off my chest. I mean, it feels like there's some underlying tension on your show. Like, is Ryan Schaap a tyrant? Like, are you guys planning a mutiny on the podcast? And if so, like, is there going to be snacks and can I come?
No planned mutinies, and I would never disclose that publicly. I'm too good at this.
Maybe the DMs later.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, he's not a tyrant. He's gotten so much better in his old age. He's relaxed. He knows we're going to be there on Mondays. That he doesn't need to hold us hostage any longer.
What was that like when you guys were tied up and like forced to like read a script? And
we were so exasperated with him.
Is that how it was back in the day? It was all scripted?
Honestly, we're nearing a decade of doing podcasts. Most people are like, were there podcasts around when you guys started?
Just like
he's doing something right.
Yeah, it's a great show. I think Ryan's done a great job kind of helping get that started. You guys, it's entertaining. Every week, you know what you're going to get. At the same time, you don't know what you're going to get. Arash is going to have a funny voice. There's going to be an interesting comment that you're going to be like, should they have said that? At the same time, I'm so happy that was said. And then you laugh, deconstruct Americanos. I love it. So, but the only thing I didn't like was on the 300th episode. And this still bugs me. And I don't care how well he tried to make good on his error. But the cake.
Yeah, we have to talk about the cake.
Yeah.
The cake. Fill me in. How do you feel about this now that you can speak freely? And he'll hear about this tomorrow.
Maybe add some context first, because I'm not sure everybody knows about the cake.
I'm the most basic. I would have been so happy with like a quarter of a Dairy Queen cake, but he comes with a marble slab cake that if you put a protractor to it, it was not quite half. And it was my boyfriend who caught that. And he's actually been the one who's been eating that cake.
The thing was, so for our listeners, because obviously you're both subscribed to Pucks and Nut as well, or to people that listen to us. There was an original cake from DQ.
Right.
That wasn't offered to you or Rash.
No.
And
we didn't know. We only saw the photos of the original cake.
Mm-hmm.
But there were people not even associated to the podcast eating that cake while we watched.
Mm-hmm.
This is not cool.
It bugs me. So that's where we figured, I'll spend some Patreon money.
Isn't that why
I don't like
bands break up?
Yes. That's how the Beatles broke
up over cake.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yep. Beatles, Jackson 5, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, I'm pretty sure. 98 degrees. Well, it wasn't a cake. I think it was like something else.
Ryan, we're getting pretty close. We're 7 episodes away from 100.
I'm excited.
That's amazing.
I don't want to.
I can't remember 100 episodes.
That's so long ago. 100 episodes. I like you a lot, Ryan. I don't want to have to leave you as a friend if you go and eat a cake on me and I'm not invited. So
trust me.
Restrictions have been listed. We're in a good shape for this now. So if I'm not around for cake eating and I feel like it's got to be ice cream because it's going to be damn hot out there.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
I'll just leave.
I have this thing about DQ. Everybody, even at work, they're like, hey, go bring us some blizzards, which I'm fine with. I like treating people. The thing about blizzards, when you live in the Okanagan, for example, I don't care how close you live to Dairy Queen. It's never enough time to get back on a drive-through. You just
don't make it home.
No.
It's a ticking time bomb. I don't care if it's the best blizzard they've ever made. That thing starts melting as soon as it goes in your hand. And
they do the thing. They're like, here you go.
And it's just
and then they hand it to you, and then it's liquid after that.
You wasted 3 seconds already. I need to be driving already.
Yeah.
It's a bad time.
Last week, and I just got home, and I had to service the side of it. That's probably the wrong word I should have used right now. But anyway, for my wife's one, I just got the side of it, got in there because mine wasn't quite it was just enough. And she goes, "What's the big deal?" I said, "We can't do this.
No,
we just live just far enough away that it's a problem, and no one else can me."
If you put it back in the freezer, it doesn't quite freeze the same way either.
No.
You know what is good refrozen?
Oh,
what's
Frosty?
Is what?
Oh.
A Frosty.
Oh yeah, I agree.
So if you go to Wendy's and get yourself a Frosty, and then don't even eat it and pop it right in the freezer, and then hit it 2 hours later.
So I found out if you order skip the dishes blizzards,
and
you pay $2 more, which is stupid. They have their own little mini fridge or freezer.
Oh.
So you're gonna pay $9 for a blizzard, but at least it'll be.
Why don't you just get yourself a mini freezer if you're making constant blizzard runs?
That's a good point too.
What is this weird world that we live in? That's
I don't know.
So strange. That's the kind of stuff that's reserved for vaccines and diabetic.
What's that for? Oh, that's diet. Oh, okay.
And blizzards. We need it too. It's very important.
Yeah.
Oh, is it that thing that they transport organs in?
Oh, probably. How come that? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I have 2 jobs. You need to make sure which job we're talking about.
There's a skip driver out there somewhere driving around in an RV, and he just has his freezer loaded up with blizzards. I can see it happening.
Yeah, exactly. What's this? That's a kidney, and that's a strawberry cheesecake blizzard. Don't get them confused. One is important. Oh my goodness. So let's get into actual hockey talk. We can bring up maybe your love of Peyton Manning a little bit later. So it looks like our boy Vasily Podkolzin will be coming to Vancouver. Hooray!
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited for this. I know both of you are excited for this. We also are drafting 9th in the lottery, or in the draft. The lottery just happened. We didn't move down, or the Canucks didn't move down. They didn't move up. We get the same pick that we started with when this all started. And it looks like the Sedins are on the verge of coming, hopefully Ian Clark as well. Gita, there hasn't been a lot that's gone on with the Canucks, realistically.
Right.
But these are all significant enough events.
Right.
When you look at this, what is your hope that for the Canucks in the next, let's say 3 weeks, because we're going to be getting to the point where a few more things are going to happen. Like, is there hope? Like, Morgan Riley was wearing a YVR shirt today from his like postseason, cleanup, and everybody's freaking out like he should be coming back to Vancouver.
Did he get it at YVR? Like, did he lose his luggage and need to buy something at one of those airport gift shops?
Which is interesting because he's in Toronto. So maybe. So like, what's your take on this? Because there's a lot of little things, but it seems like
they're all like really crucial little things.
Yeah.
Like none of them are that sexy, but collectively, maybe they're headed in the right direction.
Like Brazzers sexy?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a different kind of sexy.
Okay, gotcha.
Nothing about Jim Benning's world is Brazzers sexy. I mean, I wish I hadn't said that out loud.
That's the quote of the night. There's the you can make that the cold close, like, and cut. Oh, I love it. That's awesome. No, it isn't that sexy.
No.
Well,
no.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of events that are like, Ted, I don't know what your 2 cents are, but there's a lot of little events that actually all have a fair amount of meaning to them right now. What are your thoughts going into this next couple weeks here?
I mean, I guess it all depends on this draft, really. Like, I think with Brackett leaving, there is only so much that they can do. I don't know how much they've gained out of his like previous scouting that's been done. I don't know how much has been done by the scouting department. I don't know how like deep Benning's fingers are in the scouting department. And I didn't even mean to go there, but but it's I mean, I don't know what their plan is. I don't know what they deem to be a high priority now. They're still looking at defensemen. Are they looking at more center depth? I mean, I don't think I've looked at enough at the draft to even know what's sitting there in the top 10 that I would like. But it's going to be a weird draft this year anyways, right? Because I don't think there's enough data or enough information on all the players that are out there. There's guys that have been playing in leagues or guys who haven't been playing at all. And there's not enough scouting that's been done because people can't travel. So I don't know. I think that if you're going to win this draft, you're definitely going to have to, I mean, hitting in the first is obviously crucial, but there's going to be guys that are selected in like the second and third round that probably could have gone in the first round this year had they played a full season.
And there's just not enough data to go on it, basically.
Correct. Yeah. So anybody who has beads on those players that knows them locally or what kind of training they've been putting in, or, I mean, there's some teams in this league that have really moved to like video only when it comes to scouting and stuff like that. And like, does that hurt teams like that or help teams like that? Is it teams that have tons of scouts out there and have feelers in every single little town and jurisdiction? Are those the teams that are going to win? I really don't know. Right. I mean, it might not come down to the quality of scouting this year. It might just come down to who has the most feelers out there.
Well, is there even a consensus like number one right now? Because I mean, the draft can be a crapshoot on any given year.
Totally agree. Yeah, and I don't know if there's a consensus.
I think Owen Power is essentially the guy. Somebody was doing like a Photoshop of potentially like 3 guys that if the Canucks were to draft. Owen Power is like 6'6". He's 6'6".
It's a going fitting name, eh?
Oh, that's freakish.
Yeah,
freakish. I'm just looking up Luke Hughes here. That's a guy that a lot of people would love to see because
But they don't think he'll fall that far.
He's in that that group though.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, if he doesn't, he doesn't,
And maybe it was just because I was looking at all the Devils fans' tweets today going, well, we can get 2 of the Hughes.
So maybe it just comes down to who's the better negotiator to their GM. Like, hey,
yeah,
Quinn goes up, Jim, you might need to trade up a pick. In New Jersey's talking to Jack and he's like, who are we kidding? You're both going to leave us in a couple years anyway. Because nobody wants to play New Jersey. They're like, we'll draft them, but make sure we get a lot when we trade you both away.
It kind of reminds me of that like 2017 draft year where it was like the year before all year everybody was talking about Nolan Patrick, right? I mean, it was he was going to be the guy. And then we get to the draft and then it's like, Heischer's up there and I mean he went first that draft year too. So like that was a big deal. Like Heiskanen went, like it was I think Dullen was 18, but there was just a bunch of guys like that were sort of jumping around in that top 8 who probably could have gone any position rolling 5, but maybe except for Hischier. and Patrick, who you knew we were going to go 1 or 2, but prior to the draft taking place, like it didn't seem like that was going to be what the deal was. So I don't. This seems like a weird one for sure.
Nolan Patrick was just all kinds of awesome with Brandon, right? And it wasn't that the year the Kelowna went that year, right? That's the year they went to the Mem Cup. And they were just absolutely throttling everybody. Because it came down to Brandon and Kelowna in the final, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that was it. I mean, that was the same year, obviously, that like, Pettersson jumped way up. I mean, guys were talking about the previous year thinking like, hey, this guy could be a late first rounder, probably a second rounder.
Yeah.
And then Pettersson goes to Vancouver, and you're also talking about Cale Makar. Like there's some, I mean, if you were to redo that draft, right. I mean, I don't think the top 5 looks like the top 5. It probably looks very, very different.
Yeah. I mean, you would still, going back, like it was Patrick or Hischier, and you weren't going to go wrong either way, it felt like. And, now looking a handful of years later, like Nolan Patrick's, he's okay.
Well, they're all good, but you, as a GM picking 1 or 2, like you couldn't have been like, nah, I'm gonna take Makar. No, I'm gonna take Pettersson. Like you could never make a gamble like that, because if there is a slight chance that player didn't turn out and you didn't take the consensus number 1, like you're screwed.
Yeah, you're hooped.
But I don't think that that year has that essentially, right?
Maybe and that's it, right? When it's one of those years where there isn't a real consensus number 1, it's almost better not to have the first overall pick.
Well, then
you just take what you get at that point, right? It's
tradable, and you build up more.
Yeah.
Or you get someone that like, well, I really like that guy. We see a future in him, and they're thinking like, great. Like Buffalo's thinking, great. Well, we don't need him, but we can get a ton of picks, or we can get a player in picks, or some decent combination, right? So, I guess it just depends. In this case, it is Buffalo, but maybe maybe Seattle looks at trying to pull in a defenseman like Power, and they figure, hey, you know what? We're willing to give up our 3rd spot, and maybe hopefully after the what is it, the expansion draft that's first and then the draft, or how does that work?
Yeah, that I don't know actually.
I haven't really followed too closely on that, but I'd be interested to see like would they be willing to part with something, to bump up 2 spots.
I believe that sense, wouldn't it? If they had like a whole bunch of pieces so that they could make some trades.
Yeah. So
I believe it goes first. I believe the expansion draft goes first, but the draft is such a funny thing, right? Because I mean, especially in the last 10 years, like being so wrapped up in football too, like it's just nothing compared to the NFL draft on day 1, and the amount of jockeying that goes down, because everything is so based on positional need. And this is like a year where you could probably draft based on like positional need, right? Where everything else is like best player available, but I don't think everybody knows who the best player available is at any given spot. So maybe we get to see some like funky stuff going down where you see, a team drop 5 or 6 spots and pick up an additional second. Like that never happens in the NHL. It's just not as fun as the NFL draft. But maybe we go back and see some sort of like Sid Deanery thing happen where a GM's going to make a massive move. But I would be here for that. It'd be a lot of fun.
I'd be interested. So that brings me to the football portion of the hockey podcast.
Okay.
So because you guys record your show on Mondays.
Yeah.
During the NFL season, there's this little show called Monday Night Football, and you've been known to be absent from time to time, or at least in the distant, if there's a game going on. And you're a Peyton Manning.
I was a huge Peyton Manning fan, and it was more so in the past because of the podcast. I had to give up a lot of things in my life.
This
like
is
what?
Here's the
like both Monday Night Football and The Bachelor.
Ooh. Yeah. There's always an opening over here, Gita.
Thank you. Yeah.
Wednesday nights here, like we got you.
There are hardly anything that conflicts with on Wednesday. No, we used to record on like Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon. We didn't ever want to record like peak times, like on a Friday night or something. But then it just made so much more sense to start just doing it Monday nights. Like I'd be coming home from work. Dave was working downtown. Like everybody was working downtown. Right. Yeah. So we could just all like meet at my apartment. And then it just became a Monday night thing, like consistently, like for scheduling wise, that made so much more sense. Sure. However, there's a little thing of Monday Night Football and The Bachelor, which I used to watch with my girlfriends, but had to put an end to it because I'm like, well, now I'm just going to watch it on my own on the PVR.
Wah, wah, wah.
And it's so sad.
You miss all the live tweeting and everything.
So, exactly. I'm like, I can't spoil it for myself.
Yeah. because we've tried to do Wednesdays as our main day. We were kind of all over the place during the season. We commit. So occasionally there is Wednesday night football.
Right.
Occasionally. So Ted is a Browns fan.
Okay.
And like, what if they played on Wednesday night football? How do you like? I'm a pretty easygoing guy, I think, right, Ted?
Yeah, I'd say you're like, probably like a 7 on the mellow meter out of 10.
Would you commit though? Would you commit?
Would you let Ted off the hook and just do it with like Brady?
Oh yeah. I'm just saying, should we let him off the hook? That's my question.
Oh. Depends on how important it is, and can you not just have it on in the background? Like, there's such a happy compromise.
I don't think I can. I won't be able to focus on probably the pod.
Take it from someone who's got 300 podcasts under her belt. Sometimes you're just gonna have to make these sacrifices.
I feel like there's a big season here, and like Brady has missed some for good reasons and stuff like that. But I feel like I could be owed a couple. I think I could be okay if I miss like maybe 1 or 2 if it wasn't a big deal.
I don't know.
But Gita does bring up some good points, and I probably could have the game on in the background.
So, okay, I wanted to know. I wanted that to all be clear.
Yeah.
What is absolutely clear is that the Toronto Maple Leafs are once again not going to the second round for the umpteenth time. That gave me, I don't know why it felt different again this year, the most pleasure to see that team lose, especially to Montreal. Like, it would be one thing if they lost to, let's just say it was Tampa, or if they lost to Columbus, or there's so many teams that you could say, you know what, whatever, it was an off year. But they were playing Montreal. Montreal was the best of the worst. The teams below them were so bad, they just couldn't catch that little bit better Montreal.
They had what, one more win or one more point than Ottawa or something?
Yeah,
like something ridiculous like that. But it was the way that Toronto lost. Like, they were up in the series. Like, you just had to win one of those 3 games.
I feel like we've said this 10 years ago.
Yeah. We say it every time.
Yeah. And they still and they lost. Like, they lost game 7. It was just bad. It was just like, stick the knife in you and just turn it and turn it. No, I'm still alive. And they just keep twisting. It was amazing is what
it was. So painful. It was not even a knife. It was like somebody being stabbed with a spoon. It was terrible. Like, I feel like it might have been over for them after game 6, after like the interviews that were coming out after game 6 felt like they already lost game 7.
Yeah.
And like, I know that, momentum and all this crap, whether you believe in it or not, but like, those guys were deflated because Montreal walked in there in game 7 and it looked like, I felt like I knew they were going to win. I don't know. I had that feeling. Right. And you don't always get that. It's always hanging in the balance.
This was such a well-built team. Like, how do you build a better team? And so I think the best thing I saw on Twitter today is when someone's like, well, maybe instead of analytics and Corsi, you start building based on like horoscopes. I'm like, maybe that would just, that chemistry would help them gel.
You go like, who's the most handsome? Also the most like the tallest.
Like maybe it's just a different formula.
who puts like perms in his beard, or
because on paper.
Yeah, on paper they're a very good team.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's true, right? So they had a Rocket Richard winner. They had 3 of the highest paid, most productive forwards in the NHL, in all of the NHL.
Yeah.
They had, their big crux last year was that they didn't have goaltending depth, and the D-core was not that good. Like, it was average at best. Mm-hmm. So all of that got shored up. There was a much improved defense. They had a backup goalie that could come in and supplement and take over if need be, and you not have to worry about it. And they literally had all the pieces in place. Like, I don't know what else Dubas has to do. Like, what do they do from here? Do they? There's people talking of blowing this thing up, but common sense is that you take another crack at it and you get rid of your expensive veterans, even though it looks like
Shaq. I was going to say.
What we talked about on Monday night is, does Dubas even come back?
I think so. I feel like I wouldn't. This is me talking about a GM that we have running our team right now for the past 7 years, and I would be happy to have a guy like Dubas back, right?
Right.
But I think like conventional wisdom says you take another shot at it. And then if it doesn't work, then you look at moving some things around, right? I mean, to blow up what you have right now just seems like crazy talk.
We have a question. We have a question.
Did you just notice this?
Well, I noticed it a bit. I was waiting for a good time to lead into it.
Yeah.
This is what that was. I was trying to tee it up for you, bro.
Yeah, and you just like kept talking, so then I. So we have another Ryan from Abbotsford asked, based on Jason Spezza being literally the best Maple Leafs player on the roster, how big is his contract next year? I don't know who that's directed towards. Gita, I'm assuming that's for you.
Yeah. What does he mean? He's making the league minimum, which is what, like $900,000? I think you bump him up and you give him an extra $1 million.
Or maybe 925.
Yeah. Negotiate with the guy.
Yeah.
No, but he's already said, like, he's committed to coming back. He wants to come back. I don't see why you wouldn't bring him back when he still like contributes.
Do you think Joe Thornton comes back?
I hope so. I hope he comes back to play in the NHL again. I don't know if it's with Toronto.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think Toronto is that bad. I mean, that was a colossal.
Toronto is not that bad. That's the funny part.
So, like, why, if as Canucks fans out west, if we had that team and we saw that happen, as bad as that was, would you not want to see them try again at least with that exact same team?
We did. We did that, and then we got trounced by LA.
2012.
Yeah,
we tried that.
But do you not?
And then we blew it up.
Better than that?
No, we almost had higher hopes in 2012. We're like, we were so close. We could do it this time.
Okay, then I say blow it up. Based on that works for me. I'm okay with that. That works for me. It was just, I don't know, to see. I think a lot of us had Edmonton and Toronto for the most part. There was no reason to believe that they shouldn't have. For the most part, there was enough reason to believe they probably at least one of those teams should have at least made it to the second round. And now Montreal's up 1-0 in the series against Winnipeg. That being said, Winnipeg has been off for a week, so maybe a little bit of backpedaling for them.
Prior to the Cup run, before Vancouver finally got over that hump, before they slayed the Dragon, did they not talk about maybe this is the end for this core before taking one more run at it?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, Tampa Bay would be another good example of that.
And they just kind of hung on just a little bit, but then they figured out a way to add, and then they went all in.
Yeah.
So maybe they add Alex Edler. They just need another ex-Canucks defenseman to be that tertiary guy on the third pairing. Like, that's all we need.
I was thinking, like, they really need a Bieksa.
I mean, he's not.
We could all use a Bieksa.
Yeah.
We could still use BX in Vancouver. Probably, right? Like, maybe they're just putting too many eggs in the wrong basket. Like, is this like the Cap version of the New York Rangers when they had Gretzky and Lindros and who else? I mean, Messier was on there at that point too, wasn't it? Like, was it the same kind of setup? Like, they're putting all this high-end talent in there, but nobody's really thinking, like, is this even going to work?
And was the talent that high-end though at the time?
They were.
Yeah.
I mean,
they were aging.
They weren't like Spezza Thornton old, but
no, but also different players.
That's true. I don't know.
Yeah, I
don't know. It's stuff to talk about considering, the Leafs are out now, and now what does everybody talk about? Like, oh, how good is? Well, I mean, Carey Price has been a story so far.
Right.
I saw 2 saves on him tonight, and I thought, no, they're not losing this game.
Did you see that tweet? I can't remember. I feel like I want to say it was maybe Mendez was like, oh yeah, we were covering the gold medal game, and and Carey was like falling asleep, dozing off in the middle of the game, basically. Like, he was just so calm throughout the whole thing. Like, you get the impression that he's just like going through big moments with the smoke hanging out of his mouth, and he doesn't give a shit at all, but he's just so good.
And now he's really earning it. Now he is so calm, and like anybody that talks to him, because he has his off-season home in Kelowna here. Anybody that talks to him, like, he's very low-key, very, it's all right. It's fine.
Well, yeah, like, I don't think the expectations on him were very high this year. So
yeah,
what they're doing is fantastic. Like, he's performing when he's supposed to.
Yeah, it could be this year's Canucks.
Oh man, could you imagine Montreal makes a run? Like, I guess like you look at all the Canadian teams, the ones that have actually done something. Where does Montreal rank as like the obnoxious fans?
Well, because no one's in the arena, it's really hard to tell.
That's
But
true.
I mean, these Canadian teams are about to inevitably encounter an American team, and then reality will probably hit them.
I'm waiting for that day.
Yeah.
Gita, we know we only had you for maybe a half hour. If you need to head out and carry on your evening, you are more than welcome to.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on. I can't. I'm still. Oh, there's that microwave. You have a nice microwave. So
Thanks.
I made that comment on their show. I just, you're doing well. You're doing well. Good for you.
Well, we needed you, especially with Brady's Wi-Fi dropping out as he was talking about how bad his Wi-Fi
No,
was.
I really appreciated the invite, and I jumped at the chance to be on.
See that, Shap? We can do podcasts.
Look how lovely and nice she is compared to Shap. That's great.
Just he's not wine. There's no wine with Gita. Very pleasant. Very, we didn't bring up Jack White once.
I didn't think this was the platform for it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Did you want to promote anything at all? Like
I have nothing to promote, but you can just, what is it? Like everybody just, go to my SoundCloud. No.
Your MySpace account?
Sure.
Check out my ICQ.
My Brazzers page.
Yeah, Brazzers.
Yeah.
Oh,
Interesting. Once again, another turn we were not expecting. Interesting. Thanks so much, Gita. You enjoy your evening, and I guess everybody listen to Gita on Pucks on Net every Monday night, and they'll be talking about Pucks on Net.
Yeah, try and tell if we're under duress.
Blink twice.
Friction there.
Yeah.
Blink twice. You need to save it. Perfect.
Bye.
Thanks, Gita.
Thanks, Gita.
Thank you.
So much fun.
What a boss.
Gita's rad. I did have a cold open.
Do you want to do it this time?
It's like a mid-cold,
a mid-open
round, mid-open.
It's a post-guest cold open.
Yeah, okay, let's do that.
Is it cold though? I mean, you've got this rehearsed, right?
Oh, it's. But I mean, how many of them have really been?
Do we need to do an ad read or anything like that?
I don't think so. Summer skates. We're starting tonight. I'm going to post it. Yes, thank you. I should probably promote that a little bit more. Our boys, our friends at Summer Skates. I'm just adjusting to get comfortable here. We are starting our month-long contest to pick the black one with the white square or the white one with the black square. The PP1 podcast, Summer Skates exclusive. One will reign supreme, and that will be the one that we will get made. If you want to buy a pair, let us know, and we'll make sure we get pricing out there. We would like to make as many as possible. They are so comfortable. A handful of my family wants to buy a pair. I'm not going to hook them up because they've got money. And, I don't care. They if they want nice things, they should pay. I had to pay for nice things too. But after the month, we're going to tally the votes. We're going to do it on Twitter, I think, right?
I thought because of Rocket, you couldn't have nice things when it came to shoes. Actually,
he doesn't choose shoes, so that's great. That being said, we have a cat that randomly has been pissing everywhere in our house. That's so it's like, we're always looking. You get in the house and you're looking around and you're hoping nothing happened. But sadly, we've got that going. He's just so sketched out now. It's ridiculous. So I think Brady is trying to get back in here. Where are you guys at? We're still here, man. Come on in. If he's watching anyway. So
he's probably checking the Pucks on Net live stream and didn't see us up there. So
that's true. Yeah. So this is a true story. This is an open, but it's also a true story. So the other day I was driving past leaving Costco, and the adults, it's kind of fitting that we were talking about Brazzers today. The adult video store, the one right on the corner by Costco.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There was a vehicle that
right next to the frozen yogurt place.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, they're not next to each other. It's not like you're walking in for, I'm not even going to make the joke. But anyway, so someone had, I believe, I don't know if it was like someone broke a window or if a vehicle had driven into it. I'm not quite sure. I couldn't really tell. But then I saw the news story. What had happened afterwards was there was a guy that kind of accidentally, he bumped the wall, but it ended up breaking the window of just vibration. So the police came in there, but it was his first... Yeah, the whole wall. Yeah, I didn't mean to do that either. But the whole wall, like just from the vibration of hitting the bricks there, the glass broke. but they get there and they're getting his information, and he's very embarrassed, obviously, right? But he had never been arrested, never been convicted of everything. So they're like, that's okay. He's like, everybody, it's okay. I got off with a warning. From the adult video store.
I got off for a warning.
I got off with a warning. So,
hey man, whatever floats your boat.
In that case, it was the adult video store. So, and a wall full of vibration. So, anyway, that was my story, and I'm sticking to it. So yeah, the Canucks. There's really been not a lot going on. What is going on, and I know this has nothing to do with our listeners, aside from the people that are on our team, we are going to have a baseball season, Ted.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to have an Orthodox, which is funny because it's fitting. Ryan was on our show when we talked about that.
It's perfect timing. So for just to recap on that, so Shap was on, and we had said, Ryan and I play in an Orthodox baseball league. Orthodox meaning the type of pitch, right? It's like half windmill, right? You can only go back as far as you can and throw the ball across the plate as fast as you want, but it has to be underhand.
Right.
And so that's called Orthodox for whatever reason. And so the whole time we're telling the story, Shap is like, you can see he's looking at us like
he's thinking.
And so his assumption was that we played in a league filled with Orthodox Jewish people.
Which we have no idea.
Yeah, we may. I don't know. But I mean, it was it was pretty friggin' funny that he went on for like a 5-minute story and he was cool with it, and then like had some questions about where we found an all Jewish Orthodox league. So that was pretty hilarious.
The look on his face was just perfect because there was so much like that wheel, the gerbil was just running that wheel, right?
So I think now we just call it ortho.
Ortho, yeah, it's just easier. Not like orthodontist, which
you guys play in a league with a bunch of orthopedic surgeons or something? Is that how that works?
Orthodontist, orthopedist, no Orthodox. Oh, the Jewish. No, it's not Jewish either. It's none of those things. So anyway, baseball is starting. I am so jacked. Hopefully, I'm going to finally hit my first over the fence home run. I've yet to do that.
You haven't. I thought you hit one last year.
I was close. I didn't have that staying power to get over the fence.
So this is not me being mean, but aside from your combine versus Chris,
yes,
you were and baseball, you are not the most like athletic person that I know. But you can play ball like a MFer, man. Like you're a dope ball player.
It's
I'm shocked that you haven't hit a home run playing baseball yet.
It's the weirdest thing because you're bang on, and I will own that. I love hockey. I love it to pieces. It is my life. I love to play it. I am not good at it, but I love to play it. All the video games, road hockey, roller hockey, ice hockey, love it. I am not good at it.
I'm also bad at hockey, so it's cool.
Yeah, I mean you're decent. I've seen you play. But at the same time, for whatever reason, I'm pretty decent at baseball.
Lights out ball player. It's very surprising.
I'm fast. I'm agile. I'm accurate. Remember Tracy Morgan?
Accurate. Yeah, him and JR. That was a great commercial.
Yeah. And I don't know what it is, but I haven't hit a home run yet. I have not an out of the park home run. I've had plenty of in the park home runs. My speed carries me. Based on those guns, I'm not surprised by no home run. Excuse me. Listen up, Australia.
Where are you getting these
this
chats?
Is in do you see the comments?
No.
I got to figure out a way. So this is
okay, I got it now.
My brother-in-law out in Australia. Clearly, he's not working right now. So I'm glad
he was born in 1983. You're not fooling anybody.
Exactly. I've seen you play cricket, buddy. Very drunk, albeit, but it's all the same. That was a good time in Hawaii, let me tell you. I've never hit an out of the park dinger, but I'm like a 4-tool player. I can do everything else, but I just can't hit him out of the park.
You just call yourself a 4-tool player.
A 4-tool player, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Should I take a bow for that?
You're great.
I appreciate that. So anyway, I'm very excited for baseball. Looks like we're going to get a deep, early summer league, basically.
It's going to be hot.
That's the one thing I'm not looking forward, because we've played ball in some pretty extreme heat, and you can go through a 6-pack of beer and like a 24-pack of water, and you're still
and not pee once.
No, and parched. So
it's all about it for baseball beers, like it, because if you want to have a couple beers and drive,
Yeah.
You can't really have a couple beers. So the way to go for me is to go with those old school, like 2.5 Radlers.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So you go like kind of the sweet.
Yeah, I mean, it's refreshing because it's got the grapefruit in it and
right.
Got the lagery beer thing going on.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair. Did you see? Now I brought this up to you. I've been drinking Spectrum beers lately, the margarita one and the sour.
So much fun.
There is a happy birthday ale, and I'm going to pull it up because it's limited edition. It's like a birthday cake beer, and is it like a white IPA or something like that? I'm just pulling it up. Feel free to carry on the conversation while I'm looking.
Well, I was looking up something too.
So here we go.
They had a bunch. They had the chocolate pack where they did like the mint chocolate, the white chocolate, the chocolate, and there was one, the orange chocolate, like the Terry's chocolate orange.
Yes.
Those guys, Spectrum, they've been killing it lately. Their beer game is on point. Spectrum
is just all over the place awesome. So here's the birthday cake one. So it's a light, smooth, creamy ale, smells and tastes just like a sprinkled top birthday cake. I mean, I'm willing to try that. I would like to know if it is as awesome as it sounds. Because, I mean, some people don't like, like a confetti birthday cake. It's not for everybody. But I feel like in a beer, you can master that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to
I feel like if you throw some stuff in there, like remnants of, like, I put some vanilla in there, I put some chocolate in there, and then I can just call it, like, and I used, like, lactose sugar. I'll just call it a strawberry chocolate milkshake or something like that, and it'll fly.
Interesting.
But I had just over the weekend, I had what the heck was it? It was a chocolate strawberry cheesecake beer.
My wife saw that. Where did Ted get that? That was
it did not pour. It's from Torchlight out in why can I not think of that little hippie town out in
Vancouver Island?
No.
Gibson.
No, it's anyways, it doesn't matter. Torchlight Brewing, all their beers really dope. But I poured it, and it was basically instant foam from the top to the bottom after pouring out like maybe like a quarter of a cup worth of the beer. And I guess it probably had sat in like too hot of a place for too long, so it was ruined. So I had tweeted it out. That was like, what's wrong with my beer? Did my beer broken? And so the rep out there got a hold of me, and they're just going to mail me a 4-pack, which I thought was like totally cool. Those guys. So shout out to Nelson. That's where they're from.
Oh, good.
So that hippie town up north. So shout out to Torchlight Brewing. That was really cool. Those guys.
Beer reps, like beer customer service, they are awesome.
Well, they're the coolest guys. I mean, you and I made budgets on beer reps, right? I mean, 100%. They would come in and buy all the jerseys and stuff for giveaways and stuff. They were always the coolest guys, and they always had like a rat account set up. So yeah.
And occasionally they hook you up too.
Yeah, occasionally you get hooked up.
They have to lose. Like, I have an endless supply of beer, so here you go. And also, I'm going to spend your monthly budget for hockey jerseys. Perfect. Right. Like, it's great. So yeah. So the birthday cake beer, definitely want to try that out. I've been drinking their Margarita Ghost, which is it's so good. That my dad's not a big fan of it, and I just think he has the palate of a child. So
I'm not into the sours. I found out that I don't like kettle sours.
Okay,
but I do like proper fermented sours.
Gotcha.
They're different, I guess.
Interesting. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what my whole palate is for the beer game. Brady's in and out. He says he's struggling dearly to get back in. I do want to get back into the Leafs for one quick hot second before we kind of tail out a little bit. Is this team actually cursed? Like, they haven't won a playoff game in HD. Like, you always see the list every year, but I mean, they have had some decent teams that you'd think at the very least gets out of the first round, especially this team, even in the last couple of years, and yet they don't.
Yeah, and they've always seemed to really struggle against Montreal too. Like, even when they had the really good teams, when it was like, like Sundin and Redberg and Antropov, and like they had they struggled. They struggled against the Leafs or the Habs for whatever reason. So I don't think they're cursed. I mean, if Vancouver can make it to a Stanley Cup final, then I feel like the Leafs can too. And there's not all this this weird fallacy of like the refs are against you, because I can't believe in that shit, or else it just goes wrong. Because the Leafs they are the league flagship, right? So there's not that thing that they're dealing with. So I just think for whatever reason, it's just got to them at some point. And I think maybe they're going to have to go in there not as the favorites to win.
Right.
And that's how they're going to get over the hump, because it's just not going over like this.
Right.
But I do believe that they have the right players in place to make it go.
So I'm looking at, I mean, I was kind of joking around with the Morgan Riley thing, and I'm just looking at, I mean, he's a UFA after next season, but he's only making $5 schmil. Like, is there a move?
Who's making $5 million?
Morgan Riley.
Well, I don't know why you'd want to move Morgan Riley.
But if you're the Canucks, maybe you want to go after him. Maybe you look and think, okay, the Leafs need something. Maybe the Leafs need, like, one of those teams where they need to make a move for the sake of making a move. You talk about getting over that hump. Maybe maybe there's just one tweak they need, and it's just important enough that you get something important back, but then it sets you right on that path to, potentially going all the way.
Maybe. I mean, and I'm not connected to this team like so many of our, our Blundell Network cohorts are, but like for me, I feel like they just finally fixed the decor, and they already made the decision that Riley was their guy.
Yeah.
And walked away from Gardner. I mean, they've already done that scenario once where they had a Gardner and a Riley playing on the same team, right? So
yeah.
And I know there's other pieces there that are obviously fine. Like I think if it were me, knowing that you've already got Matthews and Tavares locked up, I feel like Marner might be the guy that I might be looking to move.
That seems like the guy. I do really wonder if he's the guy they should be moving.
I mean, 0 production in the playoffs. But
overall, like who really stood out in that series for Toronto?
Yeah, you get the feeling that he Spezza.
Exactly.
You get the feeling that he could go somewhere and shine, and you could get something back from him, right? So
yeah,
I don't know. I think that this team probably has to move on from like the Simmons of the world and
but is that really moving?
I'm just saying, possibly the Thorntons, and then having some younger guys come in to try to eat up some minutes there, maybe some guys that they developed. And if they told me that they were going back in with the same core that they went in with this time, and this time it was going to be a lesson learned for that team, I would be okay with that. I honestly would.
I think the problem with Marner is dude's making bank until
he is.
A while.
This is the thing, right? Like we're talking about our team is terrible. We have all of these things to fix.
Mm-hmm.
We have all of these holes to fill. We can't make the playoffs. It's not like we make the playoffs and then it's like, hey, correct a few issues, a little tweaks here and there. It's like this team was dominant in the regular season that has some amazing pieces on it. It's ready and primed to go on a deep playoff run. It just didn't make it out of the first round. And much like Tampa Bay, it's in a similar spot. I feel like blowing this thing up now, walking away from Dubas would be the wrong call.
Yeah, I just can't see them making a big move. To me, they just haven't done that one thing to get them over, and it feels like they should have already, but they haven't.
Yeah.
I would hate to see. I mean, I don't hate the Maple Leafs, like the core of the Maple Leafs. I hate the idea of the media of Toronto, the coverage of that team. I think there's a chance they should have made a big run, but why?
Like a trust fund baby almost.
Yeah, you don't hate them; they were born into it. So what do you do? But I would hate to see them. Yeah, you're right. I'd hate to see them blow it up for the sake of doing that to make some noise. Like that is a good team, and they don't have to do much. And maybe it is a defenseman, or maybe it's one more depth winger or a depth. I don't know. Like it's something. But I find like, what if they do move on from Marner, or they move on? I would hate to see like Nylander has to be a core guy. He's like your immovable object. You can't get rid of him. But you could move on. Like, I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but if there's a way to get like a Jack Eichel, like there's someone.
Yeah. I mean, you have to explore that.
There's a big guy that's movable. There has to be, right? So
if Buffalo comes to you and they're like,
"I'm listening.
Hey, we're going to move Eichel, and we're starting talks at Nylander or Riley," like obviously you're all in on doing what you have to make that work.
Yeah.
I mean, if they said to you right now, like we want Nylander and Riley, do you make that move?
Well, I mean, on the outside, you probably do. Here's the thing, though. this is the same as like a Canucks in division move. Like Buffalo's in their division, are they not?
It wouldn't happen. I'm just talking from a talent perspective.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. I think there's high hopes for him, but I mean, it's Jack Eichel. We've had conversations about having Jack Eichel as a Canuck, right? So, ridiculous ones, but regardless. Podkolzin, we can close out maybe on him. So he did sign.
Ended on a happy note. I like that.
A beyond happy note. He is going to be in Vancouver. He's going to be a Canuck next season. What realistically, because we always get so hyped on this rookie, and he's going to win Rookie of the Year, and he's going to score 80 goals. And no, this is the new NHL. Even the greatest rookies are still not, top 3 in scoring. They're at a respectable pace, maybe 50, 60 points at high end. He's going to end up being probably a solid third liner. He's probably going to get floated a lot on the bow line, most likely. What is your prediction? What's your realistic prediction for Podkolzin next season?
First of all, do you think he's going to be a solid third liner, or do you think he's going to sit on the bow line? So is he a second liner, or is he a third liner?
I think they're going to flirt with him on the second, but I think he's going to get more consistent ice time on the third line.
So I would agree with that. But there's a very good chance, just like Höglander, that he could...
Or maybe we're underselling him.
Yeah, he could just force his way up there. So if I'm going to make a comparison for a guy like Bo, for a guy like Podkolzin, I'm probably going to compare him to Bo's rookie season. I mean, we're looking at 13 goals, 12 assists, played responsible minutes, didn't have to overly protect him, but he was shadowed a little bit. I mean, coming out of junior was a guy who had a really established, defensive game.
Sure.
Who could win draws. I mean, he wasn't a beast defensively when he first broke into the league, Bo. And I don't think he even is now. I think he controls play more offensively. But But I think you could probably look at a similar deployment as a guy like that. Like, hey, we're going to put you in important situations, but not overly important. We're going to have you come out in offensive situations, but not when you have to be the guy that's banging the puck in. And I think that we could look at something like walking away with 20, 25 points. And I think that would be like a reasonable expectation. It's not going to be old school, like we're having Artem Chubarov come in and he's only going to put up, 3 or 4 goals or something like that, but he's never going to get scored on. I think he's better than that. I think he control play down more than that. I think he's a bit of a bull down low, and I think he fits in really well, and he could find his game playing with a Höglander and with a Bo Horvat. And I think that would be for him to be the defensive catalyst on a line like that as he grows into it by the end of the season, that would be all over that.
So here's what I think. If they end up deploying him, because you talk about Bo when he came in, who was his coach when he came in? Willie.
Right? That worked for him because Willie was a junior coach for a long. I understood that part of the game, but yeah, you're right. It was Willie.
So Travis has matured. Travis Green's matured. He's got the new contract. Now he's going to have a few new toys to play with this season. He's going to get a full training camp with Jack Rathbone. Quinn Hughes is definitely going to come back and be a force. But now you have to believe they're going to give that line a try, right? With Podkolzin and Höglander and Bo. So what if that actually does work? I mean, what if they come out of the gate? I mean, for conversation's sake, what if they come out of the gate and there's actually a spark there? And what if all Bo has to do is just make sure those guys have the puck? You've got 2 guys that can grind in the corners, that have the momentum that they can go back and forth. You've also got a center that does the same thing. That flow stays the same, right? And you've got, clearly 2 playmakers, 2 guys that are gifted with the puck. I wonder if, is 25 to 30 points, is that maybe underselling? And again, this is based off of probably him sticking as a second liner at that point. But if he's floating around, I wonder, what's his ceiling, I guess? Is his ceiling 40 points?
I mean, what did we think Höglander's ceiling was? I think he hit his ceiling for what expectations were this year. 27 points. Right? I mean, I think 27 points, he's really beat up expectations at that point. I think he probably does
a full league too. They're going to get a full 31 teams to play.
Yeah, he probably doesn't have as low expectations as people did for Höglander. But the way that he's been billed as a first-round draft pick is that his bread and butter is not to score goals.
Right.
His bread and butter is to be a presence down low and control the puck and understand what he's doing from like a defensive standpoint and play a 200-foot game. Like they're not asking him to pump a bunch of goals. So I think maybe, maybe 30, 35 points would be him just demolishing expectations, which I think Höglander did this year.
Okay.
I didn't even think that he was going to stick to begin with.
That's true. You didn't.
So, and that was your call. You got that right. So I think that it would be a very successful season for him to get 25 points. Now, at the start of the year, when you're through training camp, we already know that Tanner Pearson works with Horvat. We already know that Höglander works with Horvat. There's a small battery of players that we know. Louis Eriksson. There's a small battery of players that we know works with Horvat. So I would be, and I don't know if Podkolzin plays both wings, that I'm not sure of, but I would be doing everything I could to see what he's got with high-end players like the Millers and the PDs. And
so you think even flirt with him on the top line?
I say, what works with players on that line. So try him out. And if it doesn't work, it's easy for those guys to fall back in because these guys haven't even gone through regular training camps in forever.
No.
And what works for them, right? So just, what works. That's your fail safe. Try to see what you have and explore that option early.
Interesting. The voice of reason. Once again, Ted Wong. I like that. I think we can end with that.
Okay.
Thanks so much for listening to episode 93. The Dougie Gilmore episode.
Crazy. The killer episode.
Killer. Unfortunately, Brady was trying to get in.
Oh, that sucks. That poor guy.
I mean, Wi-Fi, we've been there. I had a few episodes where Wi-Fi wasn't so great. I think the McCletchy episode, I had some pretty bad Wi-Fi.
I was in and out on the Biz Nasty episode.
That's true. But you hung in there. We do thank you all for coming. Make sure to check out Summer Skates. Sign up. We got to leave a comment. I can't remember what the question was this week, but make sure that you leave a comment so you can win yourself a 3-for-1 promo from Summer Skates. We are going to have our contest on there. We're definitely going to give away a pair, but we're also going to get a bunch made. So we want you to get in on this. You get the free cozy as well. I can't wait. These are going to be so great. They're so comfy. People, if you don't own a pair already, get involved with us. Make sure you're trying to win because it's absolutely worth it. They are so comfy. I've got my backyard pair. I've got my go around town pair, which was my PP ones. The PP ones, like I feel like I'm talking about Jordans or something like that. They're great. I love them. My daughter's wearing her pair. She got a pair as well, so she's been rocking those to school. She's a walking billboard for our podcast. So thank you very much.
And they're good. Like they're good when you get them.
Yeah.
And just like when you buy like a new pair of flip-flops, but when you get them, they're good. But then when you break them in, it's like these things are not off my feet now.
They're perfect.
And they're so soft and they're so comfortable. And you know what the best part? I feel like I've really earned my slide stand already this year.
Oh yeah, I think I got mine after like a day. I was in the yard, I looked, I'm like, oh crap, this is not good. So make sure you sign up for that. Thanks for everybody for listening. Make sure you do sign up, subscribe to the podcast. Leave a comment. Maybe we got to get involved on like the iTunes stuff. Leave a comment. Everybody else says leave a comment on the Apple podcast platform. We'd like to know where everybody's come from. Maybe just tell us where you're listening from. Maybe we'll figure out a way to give something up. Our 100th episode is coming up. I've got not 100% commitment from two guys that are going to be an absolute blast to talk. I'm trying to get maybe a couple of former NHLers on there as well. We'll have some guests. It's going to be fun. We want to make our 100th as impressive as, if you were doing 300, maybe, potentially. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a summer episode. I'm working on a prize pack. We're going to probably have a t-shirt. We're going to have a pair of summer skates. We're going to have, I think Player's Choice might be coming to the table with a cool prize pack as well. We're going to go all out. It's going to be fun. We want you to enjoy our show at home, rocking out some gear. Maybe we find a way if it's someone local that wins like beer or something. I don't know. I have no idea, but it's going to be good. So make sure you're listening. Make sure you're subscribing. I don't think there's anything else. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We're a good time. Cheer on the Avalanche because they're probably going to win the Stanley Cup. Other than that, this is episode 93. I'm Ryan. My boy Ted to my screen right. Peace out.